Today I'll be testing the sound quality of a shotgun microphone compared to a lavalier microphone to help you better decide on which one is right for you. I'll be completing these in 3 different environments: my acoustically treated space, an untreated office of similar dimension, as well as my basement. The specific microphones I'll be testing today are the RODE Lavalier Go and the Deity D3 Pro. As I go through the video, I'll leave some kind of mark below each microphone to indicate which one you're listening to at that moment. And I'll switch back and forth frequently so you can really hear the difference. Both microphones are plugged into my Zoom H6, and all I will be doing is changing the gain so I'm getting about the same audio levels. I will not be editing the sound in any other way. For these tests, I will have the microphones positioned in a way that I think they would normally be used. That is, the lavalier is pinned to my collar, and I have the Deity shotgun microphone positioned the same distance from me that I normally would. However, for this video, I do have it in the frame, while usually I would have it just out of frame. Although I would say that a shotgun microphone is often used this way, I do see from time to time people have it right near their mouths to get cleaner audio. So I will also compare that. I will start by discussing the specs of each microphone and move on to the pros and cons and why I go for one over the other depending on the situation. The Deity D3 Pro. This microphone is a shotgun microphone and it has a super cardioid polar pattern. That means it's really good at picking up audio that is directly in front of it, and even performs well when it's not directly in front of your mouth. That's why they can be placed just out of frame for people who don't want a microphone in their shot. This is the microphone choice for vloggers and run and gun shooters. They usually come with a hot shoe mount that can be attached to the top of the camera and are a great way to significantly increase audio quality. It uses a 3.5 TRRS smart jack that is pretty unique. Unlike other microphones, it has a processor that detects what kind of device you are plugging it into, which makes it more compatible with more devices. So not only can you use it with a mirrorless or DSLR camera, but it also works plugged into cell phones, tablets, and computers. On the microphone, there are some controls that you can directly tweak. It has a stepless gain knob that ranges from 0 decibels to 20, and this is another unique feature, as other external shotgun microphones usually only give you the option of -10 dB, 0, or +20. Having a gain knob really allows you to dial in the volume and lets you turn it up appropriately when plugged into sources that you want to keep their gain down due to lower quality preamps, something that is common on a lot of cameras. There are no batteries needed for this microphone, as it comes with an internal one that is charged through USB-C. The battery life has an estimated runtime of 51 hours and a standby time of 74. That standby time is another great feature. It can detect when your camera is off and it switches to standby mode. This saves battery life and is something that is missing from a lot of the competition. The last onboard controls include a high pass filter that you can set to 75 or 150 Hz, and this is very useful when you want to cut out the lower frequencies below these thresholds. The standard package comes with a carrying case, a foam windscreen, a Rycote shock mount, the connection cable, and the USB-C charger. Some of the other technical specs are that it has a recording range between 50 Hz and 20,000 Hz, an impedance of 200 ohms, a dynamic range of 114 decibels, and a signal-to-noise ratio of 84 decibels. The last thing I want to mention is that the build feels solid and good quality. It's primarily metal and has a good weight to it. Before I go on, I just want to ask that if you're getting any value out of this video, a quick like would be greatly appreciated. Also, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. I reply to every single comment. RODE Lavalier Go. This microphone is a lavalier microphone and has an omnidirectional polar pattern. This pattern picks up sound in all directions around the microphone evenly. This is great for having it set up the way I do now, having it clipped to the collar, which gives you a lot more freedom to walk around in the frame while still picking up great audio no matter where you walk. Of course, to do this, you will need to pair the mic with the transmitter, which depending on the model might come with it. In this case, it can be paired with the RODE Wireless Go, another really great audio tool. Unlike the Deity D3 Pro, it has a standard TRS jack, which will only work with microphone-specific inputs like the one on a camera, or plug-in power inputs like on my Zoom H6. It will not work plugged into your cell phone, tablet, or computer. However, RODE does make a lavalier microphone called the Smart Lav Plus, which is basically the same microphone but with a TRRS input that will work with those devices. However, now it won't work with your camera. There are definitely a lot less features on this microphone to talk about. There's no way to control the gain on the microphone. It has to be powered with plug-in power through the device it's being paired with, and there's no high-pass filter options. It's pretty bare bones, which is standard for these types of microphones, unless the package you buy comes with its own transmitter, which may have more options built into it. The technical specs are that it has a slightly wider recording range than the Deity, 20 Hz to 20,000 Hz. This is generally the frequency that humans can hear. It has an impedance of 3K, a dynamic range of 83 decibels, and a signal to noise ratio of 67 decibels. The build quality is on the more fragile side. It's obviously very small, which is actually something you want to keep it as inconspicuous as possible, but the wire itself is very thin. A very light pinch with your fingernail will leave a permanent indent, and one too many yanks will very likely disconnect the wires inside over time. So what are the pros and cons of each microphone? Well, they both have specific uses, and where one has the advantage in one situation, the other pulls ahead in other different situations. Overall, the sound quality on a shotgun microphone will generally be of higher quality unless you're comparing the cheapest shotgun mic to the most expensive lav mic. Benefits of a shotgun microphone are that you can keep the microphone out of frame of your video, which I prefer to do. It's much better at isolating the source of audio that you want to capture given its super corduroy polar pattern. And the microphone can go directly on a camera, which is much more run and gun friendly. Specific pros to this Deity shotgun microphone over the RODE Lav mic are that I believe it does have a superior sound quality, more onboard functionality like the gain knob, the high pass filter options, and the standby power setting. It can be used with a wider range of devices such as cameras and audio recorders, as well as phones, tablets, and computers. The Rycote mount has a shifting base design, which lets you push it forward if you want to use the viewfinder, or push it back to keep it out of frame if you're using a very wide lens. And lastly, the price of the Deity D3 Pro is $100 US cheaper than what I would say is its most comparable RODE model, the Video Mic Pro Plus. Negatives for a boom mic is probably something you're hearing right now. When I'm recording in an untreated space and it's positioned farther from my mouth, it's picking up a lot more echo. I don't like recording my talking head videos with this microphone unless I'm in my treated office. Building on positioning, it's less usable if you want to be moving around in the frame instead of just sitting down and talking to the camera. Specific negatives to the Deity D3 Pro is that as smart as its connection is, allowing to work with a wider range of devices, not every device is compatible. There is a list on their main webpage that outlines all the devices it will work with, and to be fair, it's still a pretty long list. Now for lavalier microphones. This Pro is something I already mentioned, but how portable you can be with it. You don't have to stand right in front of the camera to make sure you are capturing great audio. You can walk around in the frame and you are good to go. Given how close lav mics are positioned to the sound source, my voice, and as you've probably heard throughout the video, there's quite a bit less echo that is picked up in untreated spaces. Also a plus is that if it's just the lav mic itself, without a transmitter, you don't have to worry about battery life. Specific pros for the RODE Lavalier Go is that there's this separating bar from the microphone to the clip. This makes sure that the microphone itself is positioned away from your shirt so you don't ruin your audio with something rubbing against it. I'm actually surprised that this isn't a standard feature in all lavalier microphones. Negatives for lav mics are something I've already mentioned. The quality just isn't quite as good as shotgun mics. This is by no means a cheap lav mic, but I think you would agree that in my treated office, the Deity D3 Pro sounded better both when it was close to my mouth as well as when it was far away. Also, they don't perform well outside in windy conditions given their omnidirectional polar pattern that picks up sound in all directions. Negatives specific to this RODE Lavalier Go would be its fragile build. The wire is just so thin you could probably rip it in two pretty easily with just a little force. And then the last thing, which isn't overly a negative in general, but compared to the Deity D3 Pro, it's not as versatile being able to record with a wider range of devices. So those are the differences between shotgun and lavalier microphones. If you're interested in knowing more about this Zoom H6, which is probably my favorite tool for recording audio, I made a video that you can watch right here. If you want to know more about how I acoustically treated my office, this video goes into that. And finally, YouTube's algorithm thinks you will enjoy this video the most. Be sure to check one of those out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.